Boy, there's a familiar sight. We've had lots of this in the past month or so. Rain. Rain affects fishing. We know that, but how does it affect it? We went down fishing last Saturday off South Haven in Don Nichols' big party boat for perch. They've just been clobbering the perch down there. But how was it going to be in the rain? Well, we set off in the rain, and you might be surprised at the ending. We had a great time, great people. We're going to take you perch fishing, so stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night, time for Michigan Outdoors. I've often said you should never cancel a hunting or fishing trip because of a weather forecast. Well, here we are in South Haven. Last Saturday, this trip had been planned for months. We had 50 people who came from all over the state to fish with us on the Captain Nichols Party Boat, and it was raining cats and dogs. Well, should we cancel? No way. We're going fishing anyhow. We came here to fish. We want to have a good time on the water, and a little rain is not going to stop us. Looking at the sky, we really didn't know how long it would last, but we had determination. And one of our guests is Dan Behrens from Lansing, a member of our Outdoors Forever group. He's got determination, too. He's going to stay in hunting and fishing after an unfortunate motorcycle accident several years ago that broke his back. With a little help lifting his wheelchair aboard, he could fish with the rest of us. The Captain Nichols is the name of the 65-foot party boat that specializes in perch fishing off South Haven. There's plenty of room for families and everyone to fish all around the boat. Hey, but look, where's the rain? I kid you not, within 15 minutes the rain had stopped, the sun broke through the clouds, we could peel our rain gear, and the afternoon took on a whole different look. The wind even laid down, and following our lead, some of the smaller boats began venturing out of the harbor too. Now, there's a full-size galley aboard with hamburgers, hot dogs, soft drinks, and beer, so this trip couldn't have been a washout, even in the rain. Captain Don Nichols pulled over a rock pile fairly close to shore. We anchored and began fishing. Now, everything looked fine, except the fish. We ended up moving the boat a number of times to different rock piles because action was, well, if I said slow, that would be putting it optimistically. Right after a front moves through, the fishing always slows down for a half day or so, and that's what happened. Captain Nichols was a little concerned, and our cameraman, Rick Little, didn't find many perch for the cameras either.
It's been a tough day, let me tell you. Real tough.
Well, why has it been so tough? The sun's out now.
I know. This morning with all the rain and the thunderstorms and everything, we did very well with the fish. Now we have the weather, no fish. It'll probably turn on here a little later on, hopefully.
But that's common, isn't it, that after a storm or front moves through for at least a few hours, maybe 12 hours or more, the fishing shuts off?
Absolutely. It never fails. In fact, prior to the storm and usually during, it's some of the best fishing you've ever seen, especially with perch. This is what catches a lot of these little boats out here in bad weather. But after it's gone through and everything settles out, it'll take a while for them to turn on, especially a thunderstorm.
You know, a boat like this, if one person catches a fish, about 25 people get to watch it. And there's all kinds of cheering. And
well, there definitely is a lot of cheering if you've been out here for an hour or two with nothing. But and that's what happened there, yes. But we've got the skunk broke, and it's been 2 years, since that's happened. And I think we'll do all right. It's just going to take a little time here.
But you do have on perch a pretty good record. You got a lot of people fishing.
Well, we got a lot of fish, too, now, and we've learned so much because of some of the lean years. And when I say lean, it's not necessarily the perch as much as it's the weather here. They're in and out. We fished as deep as 70 foot now and produced. Been right into 4 feet of water. And, I fished salmon for 7 years, and I thought perch was going to be duck soup, and I still don't have a real good theory on them. They're very wary. Water temperature seems to play a big part.
What kind of people come out on a party boat?
The everyday person. The person who I enjoy this tremendously because it's the working crowd, it's the kids, the grandmas and the grandson, father and son type teams. And when you're fishing this style, each person's got their rod in his hand, and it's their own little game. And I just really enjoy it. I love the people.
Do you ever have people who get off the boat who are disappointed?
Yes, but they seem to go through life disappointed. You can spot them.
Right.
There are some people that are just never happy. But most of the time, no. They've enjoyed even on some slow days when the fishing isn't that good. They have a good time. They make the outing worthwhile, regardless.
Hooking and playing one. As soon as you feel it strike, you sock it to them?
Yeah. You don't have to jerk it real hard. Just get it hooked good and keep them coming. I notice some people, they'll kind of pump the rod or something. If the water's warm and the fish is very active, he'll wiggle right off. In fact, we'll wiggle off as soon as they get out of the water. But you just keep them coming and up over the rail. These people that leave it hang out there and admire it for a while, we lose some nice fish that way. But it's exciting. We're excited every time a fish comes out of the water.
Well, the morning trip, the anglers caught about 600 perch, and this afternoon trip you're seeing, you saw just about every perch that was brought aboard. But I can't imagine any group of anglers who had more fun than we did. I tell you, it was great. Are you done?
Sure.
Hey, how'd you like it today?
I had a lot of fun.
But you didn't catch any fish. You were just like me.
I had a couple strikes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, how can you have fun going fishing and not catching fish?
It started out rainy, turned out to be a beautiful day. A lot of good people. It was the sun was shining. I had a good time.
How'd you do?
Wonderful. Caught a fish, did you?
Did you? No.
I got to watch all the rest of the people catch the fish. It was just as exciting.
That is a fun part,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yep.
I kind of enjoy that. And obviously, that's what you and I got the most thrill out of.
Oh, I got the most thrill out of just being on the boat and enjoying the time. That's all it was. It was really fine. It was.
Those are the fillets which you got today.
I'll enjoy them. I'll enjoy them.
Well, how was the trip?
Great. I enjoyed it.
Nice boat ride?
Yeah, a great boat ride.
A lot of optimism about the fish that we could have caught.
Yeah.
And we'll get next time.
Yeah, we can go around and make up all those stories about the ones that got away, too.
That's right. What was it, bum out of a fishing trip?
No, it was a lot of fun. The fish could have taken my line a few more times, but it was a lot of fun.
What was fun about it if you didn't catch fish?
Oh, just the trip in itself, and I enjoyed the people and the company.
Definitely. Good people.
So that's what it's all about,
That's what it's all about.
But did you enjoy it, though?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had a blast.
I mean, you know, the captain and everybody feels kind of bad, and I feel kind of bad we didn't catch more fish.
No, it was great. It was fun.
Yeah, I've never been to a winning Tiger game.
Haven't you?
No. Every time I go to Tiger Stadium, they lose
Well, why do you keep going back?
because I like the Tigers.
Do you?
Yeah.
Would you come back perch fishing again?
Yes. We had a real good time.
Sort of like going to the Tigers, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, how slow was it? Nobody better to ask then. Here's Johnny.
This right here on the boat. We don't want to, bug him and bother him if the crowds often gather around him. But we do want to talk to him a little bit. It isn't very often you get to see a celebrity like this out fishing. Johnny? You don't mind if I talk to you a second, do you?
No, go ahead, Fred.
Well, what a nightmare. We tell Johnny Carson about the hot fishing off South Haven. He says, how hot was it? Well, we told him it's the hottest you can get after a cold front. He said, may your neighbor's pet yak perch on your bait bucket. Well, it wasn't the fish. It was the people, as usual, who made this trip fun in Michigan outdoors. His name is actually Chet Olmsted, Johnny Carson look-alike from Lansing, one of the many people who really made that trip enjoyable. Here's where we were off South Haven, Van Buren County, and the fishing, well, you might guess, it's been going up and down. Not only at South Haven, right now they're getting perch, it's been good recently, but all over the state it's been up and down because of the weather. They say up at Muskegon, they're getting steady fishing for kings, and we're getting some big ones in, and that's good news. Down at St. Joe Benton Harbor, they say the salmon aren't real abundant. There's a few of them, but they're large, 60 feet of water. That's a good sign. Now over to the other corner of the state here, down in Lake Erie, Breast Bay, floating weeds on the water makes it a little tough for the trollers. 6 to 7 inch perch. They got to get a little bit bigger before I'm going to run down there. Bass and pike fishing has been good in the inland waters throughout the state. It's the Great Lakes where we have the problems, especially because of the weather. The Charity Islands is where the walleye and perch have been hitting off Au Gray. 25 feet of water there. Walleye and catfish, I've been getting good reports week after week for walleye and catfish in the Au River and at the mouth of the river. 4 miles out is where you'll catch the Lakers and the Kings in about 90 feet of water off of Harrisville and Oscoda. Walleye up in Thunder Bay River as well, right at the mouth there in Thunder Bay. Up in Rogers City, well, you talk about what the weather does. 20 feet down, the water temperature has been 42 degrees. That is freezing, and it makes the fishing pretty poor, too. Hex hatch is over in the Au Sable, so trout fishing is simmering down. I get varying reports depending on the day from Houghton Lakes. Some people say the bluegill have been hitting. Others say the walleye is pretty good, and vice versa. It's a big lake. There's lots of good fishing there. Up in the UP, stream trout has been fair because of the low water. That's been a problem. They haven't had the rain up there that we've had. at Muskong Bay. Harry at Harry's place said the fishing is great. Now, the catching is slow, but the fishing is great. But that's all destined to change here with some of the conditions we have moving in. Herring up in the St. Mary's River, they're still hitting. We have a great herring story in our trophy book coming up right now because we have some great master anglers that have been taken at this time of year. Here's the size of perch that everybody wants to catch. 1 3/4 pounds, 14.5 inches long. But where can you catch them? 3 weeks ago, Nathan Howell from Stanton caught this at 7:30 in the morning on a night crawler from Lake Ogibic. What a lake for perch. You know, lake trout have been dominating the outdoor reports for the past month. They're in fairly close to shore. They're not too difficult to catch when you troll near the bottom with a spoon. Bill Lout from Saginaw was trolling a grizzly plug off Frankfurt at 2 in the afternoon a month ago. This 20-pounder hit, that's a laker to be proud of. You know, sometimes little ponds can produce big fish. This 2-pound-plus crappie stretched a wee bit over 15 inches. Mike Sands from Niles is the lucky angler. The pond is somewhere in Cass County. William Wolfington from Detroit has to be what we call a river rat. At 1:30 in the morning, he was trolling a pencil plug in the Detroit River. That was at the end of May. This 9-pound walleye puts his name in the trophy book. And I'm sure Dr. Al Gerson was trolling for walleye when he caught this white bass, sometimes called silver bass. He was trolling a quick fish in Lake St. Clair. Now that bass weighed 2 pounds, 12 ounces, easily a trophy for Dr. Al. By the way, the white bass is something like a herring, and that's a small fish that's popular in the St. Mary's River at this time of year. Bill Reese from Auburn was fishing for herring with the fly rod he's holding. An ice fishing teardrop was on the end of his 10-pound leader. Evidently, a herring hit the teardrop. Then a 25-pound muskie grabbed the herring. This muskie fought for 55 minutes on the fly rod. Bill said his other 3 buddies in the boat who wanted to catch herring were a little miffed because Bill made him stop fishing while he battled this monster for nearly an hour. But he landed it. Quite an accomplishment. This happened on July 20th, 1985 in the St. Mary's River. And Bill Reese from Auburn is holding the 45-inch muskie that makes him our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Angler of the Week.
State Senator Kirby Holmes is heading up a task force to study hunting and fishing laws to see how they might be modified to better suit the handicapped sportsmen of the state. We got a chance to ask him last week if he thinks that his report will be well received.
I think so, especially by the handicapped, but the public over the years has exhibited a sympathy towards the handicap in spending tax dollars to make the handicap physically equal again. I'm thinking of getting from the first floor to the second floor type thing again. And this is just an extension of that sympathy and empathy that they have towards the handicap, and they want to see them be in the mainstream again. By golly, if a handicapped person wants to run a marathon, that's a decision that they can make, and let's have them do it.
Do legislators have a feeling, or do you think people have a feeling that handicapped hunters and fishermen would like free licenses?
I've not seen that yet. I'm aware of where you're coming from, that they, especially in hunting and fishing, that any time the legislature tackles a special group, whether it be the handicapped or senior citizens, there's a feeling that, oh me, here comes another freebie, you know, and then they immediately resent it. But in this instant, I don't think that that's the case. I think that this task force is going to be welcomed by the public, and we have not had our first meeting yet, but I'm eagerly looking forward to it. And I think when we review existing law that we're going to come up with some good stuff.
The handicapped hunters and fishermen we've talked to have all said unanimously, we don't want free hunting and fishing or a free license. We just like access to hunting and fishing so we can get our money's worth.
And I see nothing wrong with that.
Hunting Michigan doves this year is completely possible only if you're willing to go to another state to do it. Well, Michigan doves are being hunted during their migration through Indiana and all the southern states in late September through October Our Court of Appeals will just be hearing the arguments in a case that will be over a year old. It's a safe bet that even if the court made a decision quickly saying that dove hunting was in fact legal, there still wouldn't be enough time to go through the process to set up the season. There's a lot of confusion among deer hunters as to whether or not they can use a hunter's choice deer permit and tag on a buck. The reason for all the confusion exists because of a DNR press release that went out across the state saying that doe permits this year would be for antlerless deer only. That's not true. With the doe permit, hunters will still be able to take any sex, model, or make of deer they decide. The only question that should remain is why this misleading information was ever put out by the DNR. And in a surprise announcement last week, Dr. Gordon Geyer, interim director of the Department of Natural Resources, was named permanent director. This after he said all along that he would not accept the position. In this week's Outdoor Reminder, it is now legal again to train hunting dogs on wild birds and animals in the field.
Well, the only thing we have relates to hunting or dogs, Bob, in the digest here is August 21st. We're doing a show on dog days, fishing. But we have catfish, smallmouth bass, walleye. Let's look at some of the questions in the mailbag. We have one about litter bugs. Elaine Bush from Battle Creek. She's upset. Her husband fishes this public lake around home down in Kalamazoo County. He loves fishing there, but he says every Sunday the crowds come in, they pollute the lake, they have no respect for the wildlife, they litter the area. He says maybe we should do a program to tell these so-called sportsmen, you know, that they're bums or something, but she says they probably wouldn't see themselves as the offenders.
Oh, yeah, and they probably are bums, and I want to really defend them. Nobody should ever be littering or polluting a lake or whatever, but sometimes people get that idea because the access site happens to be crowded. Sunday's a lot of people's only day off.
You know,
And
another thing,
it just looks crowded.
I think Elaine's husband might be a little hard on these people who are infringing on his fishing territory.
Oh, sure.
And papers blow out of boats and so on. That's not to excuse it, but crowding on Sunday is an unfortunate effect of the 5-day work week.
That's a manifestation of it,
sure
all
is.
the littering. This letter, too, from Larry Curtix of Cass City. He wants to know, friend, how can you find worms in the summer heat around the yard?
Well, you can't find them in the summer heat, Larry. The problem is that worms, night crawlers especially, go down deep, sometimes 10 or 12 feet, to find that 40 to 50 degree temperatures that they need. If they're out on the surface where the temperature is 65 or above, they'll only live a couple hours. So that's why your worms and night crawlers die when you have them in a can in the boat. They get too hot. You're going to have to look under boards. You're going to have to water the lawn. You're going to have to wait till the night. Or try something like this. Go to the plastic worm concept, a beetle spin. This is a great bait to use at this time of year through the weeds. And if you can't get worms or crawlers, go to the plastics. They'll work. What do you think about that?
I prefer the live stuff, but you're right, you're right.
Keep your worms out of the heat. Now here's a question for you folks in our outdoor quiz.
Which state has the most licensed hunting and fishing guides? As of 1980, Wisconsin had 707 licensed guides leading the nation. Although most states do not provide a certification program for hunting and fishing guides, licensing helps boost this valuable outdoor service, and more states should consider it.
That's a good one. Yes, sir.
You know, for all the talk I've done about not canceling a hunting or fishing trip because of the weather, here's a trip that 2 years ago we had to abort midstream because of the weather. We were catching perch, lots of perch, off the Charity Islands in East Michigan. We had so many perch that I had to employ the Happy D hooker right here to take those perch off of people's lines. We had quite a number of us on a pontoon boat, including Jim Brandstetter and Robbie Timmons, two well-known Detroit area television personalities, and we caught lots of fish. Now look at the day right here. It's a little bit cloudy as we head into the afternoon. It had been sunshiny just like it was in the afternoon when we were perch fishing a week ago, or last Saturday, on the west side of the state. But this day reversed itself. The bad weather moved in. This is something you have to watch for in the outdoors, especially when thunder and lightning is present. It's wise to get off the water quickly. And it was hard to when we were catching so many perch.
Maybe when we get right down to the end of the minnows,
We'll move over.
we'll move over and try for bigger ones.
Yeah. There's bigger on the other end of the island on the rocks. There's bigger fish. There's a rule.
Now, what about the
Well,
people
we
who
were going to
fish-
move to the other side of the island, but we had a problem come up with the lightning, which caused us some real
Well, you know, one
consternation.
highlight I liked Although it was, I guess, an ominous sign was when your hair was standing on end.
I know, we thought that was funny, because, you know, the kind of a freak show, right? Well, that was a bad sign, because the captain right away said, uh-oh, that means that there's electricity in the air and we have to get off the lake immediately. So while we thought it was fun, it was a serious sign.
The biggest one?
So there's one case that maybe you don't want to cancel a trip because of a weather forecast, but when the weather turns bad, there's electricity in the air and your hair is standing on the end, not because you're excited, but because of the lightning. It's time to get off the water. Well, Barbara Kulisowicz from Royal Oak sent us this recipe during our recipe contest. It wasn't one of our grand prize winners, but I tell you, it had to be mighty close.
Oh.
Look at this. It looks like a meatloaf.
It goes together like a meatloaf.
It does. Can you identify it, Bob? You looked at the recipe, you know.
That's just perch. That's perch. My favorite.
This is a perch loaf. I've never had a fish recipe in a meatloaf.
Made into a loaf, right.
But I tell you, it's mighty tasty. There it is, the perch fillets going into the pan.
Butter and horseradish. Now, this has quite a few hot ingredients in it.
It does.
Fresh parsley, some carrots, and celery, and onion. All the makings for good meatloaf.
Worcestershire sauce, breadcrumbs, red
pepper
peppers,
flakes.
red hot pepper sauce,
Along with your horseradish you had earlier. Some ketchup, an egg,
lemon juice,
and water.
which goes into the perch fillets
Just to cook the perch with.
on a saucepan, because the perch is pre-cooked.
Right, before it goes into the loaf. Gonna add a little bit of lemon juice to your water.
And this is essentially just a fish boil.
Right, just gonna steam your perch here. That's all you're gonna do. You could use any kind of cooked fish with this. Okay, you're gonna make like a sauce for the loaf. More lemon juice, and you can taste lemon juice in here. It really is quite lemony.
Well, there's 7 tablespoons of lemon juice altogether that are used in various stages.
There's your red pepper
Ooh,
flakes.
love 'em,
You see the
love
little
'em.
seeds in there that are really hot.
Can you taste the pepper in this, Bob?
It's not all that spicy. It's really not.
And people who like spicy food might want to add a little bit more.
You're gonna cook this until it's just flakes. You don't want it cooked thoroughly, really.
But when it flakes apart, as far as I'm concerned, it's cooked.
Yeah, it is, exactly. You don't want to overcook it.
Oh, some butter on that right
Yeah.
there.
You're gonna mix the fish with your egg. Add your breadcrumbs to it. Make it dry.
Is this basically like a meatloaf?
Exactly. Just exactly like it.
Except you don't put carrots in a meatloaf, do you?
You can. I have. You want to stretch it a little bit.
Carrots, celery, onions, and the parsley.
Fresh parsley, yep. Gonna add butter to this.
Kind of like that, huh, Bob? Now that it isn't all that spicy yet. A
Not
lot of those
yet.
spicy ingredients we save for the sauce.
For the
at
very
end.
top.
And that was about a pound of perch fillets, which makes a small loaf, which would be enough for 3 people or Bob.
Right. If you had any leftovers, it'd be great in a sandwich.
Well, that's what Barbara mentioned. Now here's the sauce that goes on top.
More lemon juice mixed with your ketchup.
That's about a cup
Right.
of ketchup.
Horseradish.
Ooh, good stuff. This is like a cocktail sauce.
Yeah, it does taste
And-
like.
In fact, when you were making this up, we tasted some of it, and it would be great with shrimp or monkfish or boiled sheep's head.
Or with vegetables, even.
A little Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce, right. Mix those together. Pour it on the top. Well, there's the loaf after it baked for
About 30 minutes.
in a 350-degree
Right.
oven.
Just drizzle this over the top. And it is good.
Now what I have to do here out of this is cut another piece for Bob, who's been very patiently waiting.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it took an awful long time to get through the recipe on how to make this. The only thing I can say is it's worth it. Okay, it really
It is good,
worth,
isn't it?
Worth
It
going
is.
to all this. But I can't believe you used a few drizzles of the red hot sauce. How about a little Tabasco? To me, that's a little heavy flamer, a little heavier
It's
flamer.
A little hotter?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I tell you, this sure is tasty, and you can see here, in cutting it apart, it has a texture exactly like meatloaf. Tip it right down.
Good coloring.
No bones. If you use boneless fillets, and you can pick those apart after you boil them. But that is great stuff. Barb Kulisowicz from Royal Oak. I think that's a winner.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely.
Like another piece, please.
Another piece? Okay, Bob. We'll feed Bob here. You folks, get out and catch some perch. You saw it's good perch fishing right now and will be for the next few weeks. Great time to get out and make some perch loaf and enjoy yourself. But above all, get outdoors this weekend. It's a great place to be. See you next week.
For more information on hunting, fishing, and shooting, you should write for a free copy of Fred Trost's Outdoor Digest magazine. The July-August issue includes fishing articles on fish vision and catching walleyes in the weeds. The shooting article is on handguns, reasons why the .22 caliber may be the greatest handgun cartridge ever. And the whitetail article is by Dr. Rob Wagner, and the subject is deer play. All of the July-August recipes for fishing game are printed in a handy clip-out format, including tonight's mouth-watering perch loaf. You don't have to have perch in the freezer. You can try it with any type of fish. It is great. For a free copy, write to us here at Fred Trost's Outdoor Digest, P.O. Box 6001, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. And we'll send you a free July-August issue right away.
Grandmas and a grandson, father and son type teams, and when you're fishing this style, each person's got their rod in his hand and it's their own little game, and I just really enjoy it. I love the people.
Do you ever have people who get off the boat who are disappointed?
Yes, but they seem to go through life disappointed. You can spot them. There are some people that are just never happy, and isn't that good? They have a good time. They make the outing worthwhile, regardless.
Hooking and playing one. As soon as you feel it strike, you sock it to them?
Yeah, you don't have to jerk it real hard. Just get it hooked good and keep them coming. I notice some people, they'll kind of pump the rod or something. If the water's warm and the fish is very active, he'll wiggle right off. In fact, we'll wiggle off as soon as they get out of the water. But you just keep them coming and up over the rail. These people that leave it hang out there and admire it for a while, we lose some nice fish that way. But it's exciting. We're excited every time a fish comes out of the water.